Okay, what constitutes a placement change? Some of you are new. All of us are new to COVID field. And so sometimes I think it's important to kind of think about like the supply demand, what we're up against in terms of field placements. So I'm just going to be really frank. It is very difficult during COVID and normal times to find appropriate field placements. We do not have people knocking down our doors asking us for interns. Okay. So that's one side of the story. The other side of the story is we are responsible to CSWE for sending out equipped students who have an MSW. And that means that they have to meet generalist requirements at their field site and also advanced requirements if they're in their AP year. Okay, so that's attention. We don't have agencies beating down our doors, but we also have responsibilities to the profession, to the university, to CSWE to make sure students know and are competent in social work principles. Okay, so what does that mean in terms of a placement change? We are going to problem solve the heck out of issues in the field, okay? There are some very clear-cut issues where we cannot keep a student. Two examples of that are safety and ethics. If you have a student who is in an unsafe situation and agencies are not doing what they need to do to protect the student, we of course have an ethical obligation and just a personal human obligation to take that student and replace them. Second, if there are some weird things happening in the agency, this has happened a few times, where it just doesn't seem like an agency we want to associate ourselves with, then we will replace a student. Pretty much everything after that, we're going to try to problem solve. Okay, so supervisor issues, not getting enough mezzo, not getting enough client contact. We're gonna try to problem solve that. We might even add a supplemental placement if that's the case. If it is a COVID issue with client contact, we're going to try to work with the agency as much as we can, because remember, everyone's in COVID, so it's not like we have a ton of agencies that are doing all kind of great client contact in COVID. Okay, so you and I need to talk. If you have a very unhappy student at an agency because it is not the population she wants to work with, she will probably have to deal with that, because remember, we are not job placement. We are giving students social work experience, and that is not a reason to move because the student does not like the population. Another reason not to move are personality conflicts, and that might get messy and I might have to step in, but there are going to be personality conflicts everywhere, unless again it becomes a safety issue or an ethical issue. So some other reasons we would not move a student is, again, if there's like we're having a hard time with mezzo or macro, we can figure those out. We can get creative. We would not completely replace a student because they're not getting mezzo experience during COVID. We would get creative, and there's a lot of ways we've done that. So just chat with me. We'll figure it out. I'm trying to think of other reasons. Just know that you can bounce them off, another thing I'm hearing a lot. I'm not getting clinical contact. They're not supposed to get clinical contact until their advanced year. So if you're a generalist liaison and you're hearing that, generalists, they don't even know how to do clinical skills yet. They're still working on their Schulman case management skills. Okay, so I'm starting to hear that a good bit, and we want to nip that in the bud. So safety and ethics, for sure, we want to look at. One situation I had recently, the agency has way too many interns. The field instructor is not available. It is clear that the learning is not great there, and we tried to problem solve with an outside field instructor, and that has not solved the problem. So we're thinking about moving that student because sometimes too many students and lack of supervision become ethics issues where there's not enough supervision going on and the student isn't able to get contracts signed or get their weekly supervision, and that's a problem. So I'm going to be working through these things with you. You do not have to make these decisions on your own. But just know there are real struggles with supply and demand, and students cannot change placements just because they don't like where they are. There has to be significant reasons to move placements, because they could, I guess they could say, well, I'm going to delay a term, but most students don't want to wait for graduation because they're not happy in their placement. So again, we'll talk about these case by case basis.